What should you know before sending your kids to public school in Japan? This is for parents who are considering enrolling their kids in Japanese public schools while living in Japan on a work visa, or perhaps even thinking about moving to Japan. First, let me ask you this. Would you let your kid walk up to a stranger in the street and say hi to them? If you said no, then maybe Japan is not the right place to raise your kids. As a foreigner living in Japan for over 10 years now, I can honestly say that the Japanese have an incredible sense of community. People here are extremely welcoming and helpful, especially towards kids. Japanese kids are amongst the most polite and well-mannered kids I've ever seen. They greet adults with honorifics and are extremely respectful towards elders. And we see this politeness also when we are in public places like buses, trains, or even restaurants. Japanese kids are some of the best examples of what manners and respect truly means. So if you have kids, it will be great for them to be raised in such an environment. Now let's get back to the topic. When my son started kindergarten, he was one of the only 2 foreign kids in his class. What surprised me was that within minutes, he was playing with all the other kids like they had known each other forever. This is just how Japanese kids are. They don't care where you are from or what nationality you are. They will welcome you with open arms. I mean, just look at these cute pictures of my son on his first day of school. He was so happy to be there. As for the teachers, it's mind-boggling to me how they managed to teach Japanese living rules to a bunch of 5-year-olds. It's like, how do you explain something as complicated as taking off your shoes indoors to a 5-year-old? But somehow they managed to do it. For the first few days, my son didn't take off his shoes indoors. But after a few reminders from his teacher, he understood and never made a mistake again. Now I have to admit that my son was in a special class, where there were 2 teachers for only 18 kids. So the teachers had enough time to give individual attention to every student. However, this is not necessarily true for all other schools, especially in bigger cities. Class sizes can be much bigger. Speaking of which, the biggest challenge that my son faced was the language barrier. It was quite hard for him to communicate with other kids and even teachers because he couldn't speak Japanese. At first, he tried speaking English, but obviously that didn't work because none of the teachers or kids spoke English.
Ow.
So he started learning Japanese. By the time he started 2nd grade, he could already read and write in Japanese and do all his school assignments with no problems. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Japanese school uniform. My son really wanted to wear the school uniform, but since he has red hair and white skin, he looked more like a carrot than a Japanese radish. No matter how hard we tried, we couldn't find a school uniform that would fit him, but it wasn't a big deal, because apparently no one really cares about uniforms in Japan. My son's classmate had mismatched shoes and socks, and many of them had different hairstyles. Some even had purple or pink hair. In fact, last year, my son came home from school with a drawing of a girl who had her hair dyed half purple and half pink. The teacher didn't say anything. Now, for parents who are worried about their kids being bullied because of their looks, I can honestly say that I've never heard of bullying happening in Japanese schools. Perhaps it does happen, but it must be quite rare. All the parents I talked to said that all the kids in their class were like a family. They'd help each other with homework and always play together during recess. If you don't want your kids to go through the trouble of adapting to Japanese school life, another option that you have is to enroll them in an international school. There are plenty of international schools all around Japan, especially in big cities. You can choose from an American curriculum, British curriculum, and even an IB school. There are even some schools that offer a dual degree program where you get a Japanese and an international degree at the same time. Of course, tuition fees are expensive, upwards of $20,000 per year. But if you are looking for an easier and more comfortable school life for your kids, then it might be worth it. To conclude, I have nothing bad to say about Japanese schools. On the contrary, I have nothing but good things to say. My son is very happy at his school. He loves his teachers and friends. Now that he's a little older and can communicate in Japanese, he doesn't feel like a foreigner anymore. He feels like he belongs. What I love about Japanese schools is that kids from different nationalities come together and learn about each other's cultures. Kids are like sponges. They absorb everything. Imagine how lucky we are to be able to raise kids that can speak multiple languages and know about various cultures. Kids are the future. And if the future is in our hands, then I am very optimistic. Thank you for watching and see you next time.